Next question up says, I'm just curious, when does tapering start since the competition is 2.5, 3 weeks out? Um, Good question. So it depends on what you mean by tapering. To some extent, your taper has started already. The volume has gone up, or the volume has gone down, and the intensity has gone up. It's not a huge amount, and you are certainly feeling like you're still working hard. But that's good. That's important. Um, the taper itself, so what most people think of as a taper is this much more drastic reduction in volume where the overall stress of training comes down. Because right now your stress is still, we actually classify it as a medium stress because it's something that you should be able to generally recover from each week. But I mean, you feel like you're training hard. These are loading, developmental training loads that are pushing you to get stronger. Now, what most people think of as a taper is when that stress level comes down to something that's much more easy to recover from, so that you can more or less over recover in preparation for the competition. That itself will happen about a week out from the meet. So the way the peaking strategy works, and this is a bit dependent on which training group you're in because each training group has a slightly different peaking strategy. But in general, you'll see your highest intensity week to be 2 or 3 weeks out from a competition. So then intensity is at a peak, and then from there, when you're 1-2 weeks out from a competition, your intensity comes down just a touch so that we can keep the volume up. I find that what happens a lot of times, volume gets dropped too much for too long as you lead into a competition, and so that results in you peaking before the meet, and then you're kind of on the downslope when you actually get to the competition. So we've changed that around so that there's kind of a little sustainment dose of volume that happens, and that helps to carry your peak through to the competition. Now that the taper, where you get the reduced stress levels and the over recovery, that happens the week prior to a competition. So from about 7 days out. Now that doesn't mean no training. Of course, we'll still try to maintain our frequency, at least a good portion of our frequency, and we'll maintain quite a bit of the intensity, but the volume will be way, way down, and the overall stress of training is way, way down. So continue to approach those training sessions just like training. Approach it with the same mental framework as you would any other training session. Don't get too conservative. Don't skip out on any training there the week prior to a competition or anything like that. But that week prior to competition, because the volume is reduced to that level, you'll have more than enough resources to recover from your training, adapt to your training, and then you can go into that competition when you're right at that peak instead of being on a downswing. So that's kind of how the peaking is set up. Just give you an idea of what to expect. If you've got any further questions on that, feel free to write back.